It's Wednesday night.
The New York Theater Barn
is live!
I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Baby, is this love? I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Is this love?
Good evening and welcome to New York Theater Barn's New Work Series Live. I'm Joe Barros and I'm the Artistic Director.
And I am Jen Sandler, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director. Tonight, we are excited to present excerpts from the new musicals On This Side of the World and The Village of Vail.
On This Side of the World is the new musical from Paulo Tiról and Noam Shapiro, and The Village of Vail is the new musical from John McGrew, Jonathan Karpinos, and Joseph Varka.
So many J's tonight. Jen, Joe, all these other Joes. God. So welcome to the 38th installment of our virtual New Work Series. We're so close to 40. For the past tumultuous year, we've presented 80 new musicals, lifted up the work of 136 writers, and have served over 400 artists. How about that, Joe? We did it, Joe.
We sure did it, Jen.
And as always, we are simulcasting to Broadway On Demand tonight, and we are so thankful for our friends at Broadway On Demand for all they do.
That's right. But we wanted to take a moment to address the horrific and heartbreaking surge in violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders around the United States over the past year.
Yes. Together, it is our responsibility to condemn this hate, never tolerate it, and create lasting social change.
So if you'd like to make an immediate impact, you can support the AAPI Community Fund. There's a GoFundMe page with the hashtag Stop Asian Hate, and we're including the link here on the screen and below in the comments section on YouTube. And now here to tell us more about how you can support New York Theater Barn is one of our newest board members, Carr Washington.
Hi, I'm Carr Washington, and I'm coming to you tonight from my home in Washington Heights, right here in New York City. I am one of the newest members of New York Theater Barn's Board of Directors. I'm also an attorney with a practice focusing on intellectual property matters, business formations, and commercial litigation. Additionally, I'm a former performer, having acted and studied in New York City and Los Angeles for many years. Theater is in my blood. It's what I love the most. I'm proud to be in a unique position to counsel clients in the entertainment industry and offer services based on my first-hand experiences. I'm excited to have recently joined New York Theater Barn's dynamic and exciting team, which offers a creative home that provides a space for all artists and new groundbreaking musicals during incubation. The New York Theater Barn family is excited about tonight's original culture-shifting musicals, The Village of Vail and On This Side of the World. The company is proud to lift up the work of John McGrew, Jonathan Carpinos, Joseph Varca, Paulo K. Tiról, and Noam Shapiro. New York Theater Barn is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift tonight is tax deductible. Thank you for supporting live theater and the development of original musicals. Rest assured that your donation tonight will be used to further evocative and essential new works. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Car. You're such a fabulous addition to our board, and your I, as an attorney, we're just so thankful for. I just want to shout out, we have a lot of friends in the audience tonight. We have our board member, Matthew Wolf. We have Bobby Cronin. I saw the amazing Betsy King from NAMT. We have Jason Ma. I saw Lauren Elder. What a group tonight. Wow, guys. Hi.
I also just wanted to say that our staff and our board we're linked together in a program called Slack, and everybody is actually talking right now about some business, and someone just said, "Shh, Car is speaking." Well, Car's video was on. It was really fun.
Someone said, "Jen, aren't you on the broadcast right now?" I said, "Yes, but Car is speaking, so I can talk to you."
Anyway, making a gift tonight is easy and fun, so tonight you can quickly donate by text.
Yes, you can text now to give at 631-710-NYTB, 631-710. Those last four digits are 6982, and we will not make any Dancing with the Stars, Amazing Race, American Idol, whatever reality show you like joke.
The last installment of our New York series featured the new musicals Little Miss Perfect and House Rules. Here's a clip from our presentation of Jariah Kwame and Lauren Gunderson's Little Miss Perfect. Take a look.
You only know his name. Why not the man who broke him? Is his fence too high to get past? Or do you not know what you would ask? Or is it that you think my son's to blame? You only know his name.
Yeah, so I won, like you said, Right Out Loud in 2019 and got to work with Taylor Louderman on the song. And I don't think either of us anticipated the reaction. As soon as the song came out, I started to get hundreds of Instagram messages from kids all over the world saying, like, this song is the reason I came out to my parents, and I never thought that they'd be okay with it, but they are. This song saved my life. I needed to hear it when I was having dark thoughts about myself and my identity, and it was a reminder that I'm not alone. And I thought about all this, and I got ideas, and I was like, I don't want to write this book. I want someone with more skills in that area to do this. Who should I pick? And I was like, well, what about asking the most produced playwright in the country? And so I went out on the limb and I reached out to Lauren, and she said yes, and I was like, yeah.
As we are creating a story that is queer positive and has centers women and girls and has this message of defiant young people trying to, as Jariah just said, be the change they want to see. So much diversity in sound and the ways that Jariah tells a story in a song.
I thought it was interesting that like now a lot of these Gen Z kids, they have to know where they stand politically. When I was growing up, that wasn't necessarily something that was on our minds. It's like, but Noelle expresses that she wants to remain neutral in order to save face with the school. This, of course, really upsets Amani and questions their friendship, and Amani goes off.
So hey, it's time for a little best friend recess. You clearly don't give a fuck, so I guess we might as well take a break. You proved today that if it comes down to it, it's you and you and you and you don't care what you gotta do. What difference does a promise make? But when your world comes crashing, please do not come asking me to clean the mess up. Enjoy playing dress up. Finally, money saying no. Way to show us who you are before we go.
My God, that show, Jariah, just is such a force, and I can't wait to see what he keeps doing, because I think he's so early in his career, and to be doing what he's doing now and with Lauren, it's wow. That's all I have to say.
Totally.
Well, that is that, and now we also have a clip from Daniel Mertzleft and Kate Leonard's House Rules. Take a look.
So we met at our first year doing the BMI musical theater writing workshop, and I remember chatting with Kate, and I had been chatting with Jody about possibly adapting one of her books. I mentioned it. Kate was like, "Yes, I'm into it."
We committed to writing together for this project for the second year of BMI.
And basically, how we landed on House Rules was I've known Jody for a few years via other projects. And I said, I'd really love to chat with you about adapting one of her books, and ended with House Rules. I have a lot of people who I've been close to in the past who are on the spectrum, so that's why I was specifically drawn to it.
And I think it's, the arts help us cultivate a greater understanding of the people around us and the variety of experiences. And the more people who have some ability to relate to and understand the experience of being on the autism spectrum, the more likely it is that we can cultivate a community where those people get the best support available in everyday interactions, in addition to the justice system, which is what the second act of our show focuses on. There's the younger brother in this family where there's a single mom and the two sons, and he feels overlooked at home because his mother is so frequently prioritizing Jacob's needs.
Look at me, only 15, barely even seen as I loiter on the fringes watching time go by. And I never needed to succeed, but perhaps the scraps of love I got were not enough to help me try. I could disappear, run away from here any day, and it's fine. They don't need me anyway.
Jacob really struggles with connecting with other people, and I know there's a beautiful paragraph in Jody's book that is almost verbatim from one of the interviews she did with the person who's on the spectrum about what it feels like to look someone directly in the eyes.
And for a moment there's only us. Take a deep breath, no need to be nervous. Now is the time to take a chance. It's just and for a moment there's only this. Let every worry fade into bliss. Time to take a chance. Time to take a chance. Time to take a chance. It's just one
Such an exciting show. It's our second Jodi Picoult musical. And I'm thrilled to be working with Dan and Kate on a new musical, also with Jodi Picoult and Timothy Allen McDonald and Jeff Calhoun, called Breathe, Portraits of a Pandemic. 5 mini musicals written in the pandemic with 5 directors and 5 musical theater writing teams.
Right, and Max Clayton and Matt Doyle just did the last presentation of it. So it's a really stacked out group for sure.
Sure did, and Brian Stokes Mitchell and Kelly O'Hara are also part of the team.
I don't know them. Well, enough about that. Let's get started with tonight's shows. Our first musical tonight is On This Side of the World, which has music and lyrics by Paulo Tiról and direction and development by Noam Shapiro.
Stories of overseas workers, young lovers, and gossipy church ladies. Snapshots of undocumented immigrants, millennial princesses, and first-generation Americans. In On This Side of the World, 6 actors give voice to Filipino immigrants navigating old lives and new beginnings as a one-way ticket sends them on a journey 8,000 miles from home.
And now joining us from their homes are the creative minds behind On This Side of the World, Paulo Tiról and Noam Shapiro.
Hey, Jen. Hey, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
We're so glad you're both here. Paulo, you were born and raised in Manila, Philippines.
That's right.
Beautiful country that I was in about 1.5 years ago. Hello to my friends Luna and Jaime over there. Your other projects include Called and Starro. You were a Dramatist Guild Foundation Fellow and an Artist in Residence at Axis Theater along with Noam. Your work has been developed and presented at Barrington Stage, Prospect Theater Company, and Mayi Theater Company.
And I just want to say, Paul actually had development at New York Theater Barn.
It did. It was part of the choreography lab 2 years ago. Yeah.
And also the National Alliance for Musical Theater, of which we'll talk about more later. Noam, you are a New York-based director and the producing art director of Three Hairs. You're a winner of Opera America's Robert L.B. Tobin Director Designer Prize, a recipient of the SDC Foundation's 2020 Harold Prince Kurt Weill Directing Fellowship, an alumnus of the Manhattan Theater Club Directing Fellowship, a member of the Lincoln Center Directors Lab, and a former Drama League Artist in Residence. So Paulo and Noam, how did the two of you come to collaborate together, and what inspired you to tell a story about Filipino immigrants?
Let's start with the second half of that question because it comes first. So I started writing on the side of the world when I was a first year in the NYU Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program. So this was in 2013. There's one class there where you get to be both a composer and a lyricist because otherwise you have to choose one or the other. And in that class, the assignment is to choose a community that will inspire a song cycle that you'll then work on for the next 2 years. I chose Filipino immigrants in the United States because, number one, I'm one of them. Number two, I had a whole bunch of friends whose stories I could draw on to inspire other songs, other material in the program, in the piece, and also because at that time I didn't know of any other Filipino American or Filipino immigrant musical theater writers. I mean, there are now. I've met Fabian Obispo, J. O'Connor Navarro, Justin Huertas, but yeah, at the time I thought I was the only one, so I was excited to tell these stories. And for the second half of the question, I'll let Noam answer that.
Yeah, so I was looking for to meet incredible new artists working in the musical theater space. And I went to Musical Theater Factory's POC Roundtable event at Joe's Pub in 2018. I almost wasn't going to go. It was like a rainy night. And I went downtown and I just heard Paulo present an incredible song called Light of the Home about two overseas foreign workers, women who leave their children and their families in the Philippines to go care for elderly individuals or kids and families in the United States, and about their longing for their family at home while they have to care for other people's families. And I was just absolutely blown away. And I thought, wow, who is this guy? And why haven't I heard about him before? And I went home that night and I cold emailed Paulo and I said, I need to hear more of your music. Please tell me what you're working on. So we met like a week later and I asked Paulo about these stories, and he just told me the inspiration. And I said to him, surely you've been showing this to people and presenting it. And he said, well, no, not really. People weren't sure there would be an audience for these stories. And I said, absolutely. I think that there totally is an audience. These are incredible American stories, international stories. And so we started working together.
Wow.
Like I told you, I was just going to say, like I told you in rehearsal, not only was it thrilling to have your show open the 2020 NAMT Festival, but it was also like your show was a symbol. It was like the gate was opening of what the festival was going to be like in its evolved form. And it was so exciting. It was so emotional and amazing to see an all Asian American cast.
And I think you're actually, we were going to do it later, but I think this is a great time to show some of your NAMP footage and show the development of the show. So here is a little taste of On This Side of the World.
Then it's 1,095 days at the least, 3 years till I see them again. My next Christmas, next birthday, next who knows what with them will be who knows when. All I'll have is some cousins whose names I forget, and friends of acquaintances I've never met till then. But all of these people are counting on me, and my contract is signed, and so with my passport, my luggage, some make-believe courage, and a one-way ticket, here I go.
Effortless smile. I am going, I'll say,
for a 3-year MA.
but I'll only be gone for a while. There's all sorts of people here waiting in line, and I've always known where I fall.
At the top of the heap,
At the back of the pack, but soon beyond that wall, past this immigration hall.
8,491 miles, halfway round the planet from here. That's 12 time zones different. It says here 13.
just for half a year.
How one goes from the place they call home in a snap
To a place that's just blotches and lines on a map is unclear.
But they've called us for boarding.
I'm 64E.
They're opening the door, and so, with a month's worth of reading,
Anxiety breeding and a one-way ticket.
here I go. Yes, it's stranger and tougher and colder and lonelier, farther than you can conceive. But it's wider and freer, more vivid with color and heights you and I can achieve. Now my seatbelt is fastened, the runway's clear, the sky's within reach, and so,
With the blur in my mind of all I leave behind.
with a sigh and a prayer, one last breath of this air, with the rush of the thrust and unthinkable trust in a one-way ticket. Here I go. Go, go. Here I go.
Wow.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
I want to acknowledge the Brad Adams team is here. I saw Bonnie Davis. I saw Kate as well. So hi, guys.
That just takes my breath away, and it's so amazing to see JG, who I did theater with in a basement in Brooklyn at the Gallery Players, making $100 for the whole run, and Vinny Dean, or Vincent Rodriguez from Daly City, California, who I grew up with and did Sideshow in high school with, and he's from Daly City, where there are more Filipinos than in Manila. I wanted to throw that out there.
So we're going to keep talking development, but we want to bring on a cast member that has been with your show since the beginning. We have Belinda Allen with us tonight.
Yay, Belinda.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Belinda, thanks so much for joining us. You are in one of my favorite Broadway shows, Allegiance. And I got to show your song to my students this past week, and they were hysterical over it. And they were singing it as they walked out of class.
I love that.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with the show.
Paulo emailed me, I guess, what is it now? Almost 3 years ago? Gosh, that's crazy. We'll say 2 years ago because last year didn't count. So 2 years ago, Paulo emailed me. And he asked me if I was interested in doing a reading of his piece. And I never, ever get to work on new pieces for whatever reason. I just haven't had that opportunity. And so the minute I saw the email, I jumped on it, not knowing anything about the piece other than that it happened to be a Filipino story. And that was a bonus for me. And I worked on the piece. Was it, I think, at the beginning of your residency at Access?
It was a culmination of our residency. So 6 months and then it was the end. Yeah.
Okay. And so we did a workshop of it then, or a reading, I suppose. I always get the terminology wrong. But it was so much fun, and I was unavailable to do the next production of it. And so when Paulo and Noam reached out about a month or so ago, I was super giddy and excited to revisit this piece, especially this particular song. It was so much fun to work on back 3 years ago, and it was even more fun bringing it back into play.
Awesome. Well, why don't we check out this first song and then we'll talk a little bit more about the show's development. So let's have you guys set it up.
Sure. I don't want to give away spoilers, but let's just give this context that the context is that the cost of labor is much, much lower in the Philippines than it is here. Let's start by saying that. So a lot of families, and not even necessarily like the rich or not even the upper class, even the middle class, a lot of them have like household help. And one of the forms of this household help is what's called ayaya. And these are like basically nannies or governesses. But with some families, the yaya stays with the child until he or she gets older. And often transforms into kind of from a governess role into a lady in waiting kind of role. And that's what inspired this first song. It comes in the second act of the show. It comes after a very sad song, I should say that. It's inspired by some people I actually know. Let's say that.
Wow, so this is Yaya sung by Belinda.
I can't go on. Every dress I own is in that pile on the floor. Every dish is stashed in the sink. Now my bread is empty and my toilet is brown. Now you're gone, my life really stinks. Stuff has started growing on the stuff in the fridge. Soon the garbage can's gonna burst. And there's a giant hairball in my porcelain tub. Now you're gone, my life is the worst. Oh, 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 if I had you here, you'd keep my place all clean. Straighten out my closet, run my washing machine. Daddy wouldn't pay you to be here, I know. But why, oh why, oh why did you have to go? You've been more than just my nanny ever since I was small. Why'd you up and disappear? Oh, I need you, yeah, 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 yeah. I wish you were here. Oh, I wish you were here. Sure, it's awesome living on the Upper East Side, feasting on acai and kale. Taking Uber's not cool wherever I go, but it isn't all a fairy tale. Sure, I'm on the A-list of the A-list clubs. My place is half a mile from Saks. Whoa, whoa, Fashion Week is coming. OMG, I'll be there. But there's something that my life here lacks. Yeah, so tell a fierce to be at FIT. Yes, there's nothing faster than a fashion degree. And Daddy dear is paying for the dream come true. And what's the point if I can't share this dream with you? With you. Well, duh, of course I realize how lucky I am. Look, I'll even shed a tear, but I'll trade it all for yeah, 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 yeah. I wish you were here. Miss you, yeah, yeah. Dear, dear, yeah, yeah. Need you, yeah, yeah. Wish you were here. See, there are Filipinos who are here out of need to build a better life, blah, blah, blah. But there are those who absolutely want to be here entirely by choice, just like moi. So it's not as though it's something Daddy can't afford. It's only minimum wage, including room and board. But he's like, you're heading for New York, and here's the thing. You don't need your yaya. Your idol Vera Wang doesn't have a yaya. This Tory Burch, as they like to say in fashion, make it work. Well, Daddy, here I am and losing my mind. Are you happy, Daddy? How are you so selfish and unkind to deprive poor Yaya of her one and only expertise? Yaya, come back, please. How about a 1% biannual raise? the floor. I've suffered 3 whole weeks. I can't take much more. Yeah, listen closely to the things I say. I have never been so sincere. Come and save me, yeah. How I miss you, yeah. How I need you, yeah. To do my laundry, wash my dishes, clean my bathroom, take the trash out, make my bed, arrange my outfits, make me breakfast, pick my stuff up, brush my hair, and rub my feet, and hold my purse and say I'm pretty. Yeah, yeah. Wish you were here.
I'm gonna say it now. Every Asian girl is gonna want to sing that song at auditions. They're like, enough. We need an upbeat song.
True. I need to put it in my rep book before anybody else.
Do it.
My gosh, Belinda, what a great pleasure working with you on this song.
Thank you. I had too much fun recording it. I probably sang through it like 20 more times than necessary because it's just so much fun. Once you get going, you can't stop. So.
One of the exciting things about the show is it really tries to be a showcase of its performers. So there are 6 actors, and each track has comedic songs, dramatic songs. The structure of the show is kind of in 3 parts. It's the first part, we meet a bunch of characters who are new to America. They're infatuated with it. They're so excited and falling in love. The second part is really coming to terms with what it means to live overseas, some of the longing and some of the challenges. And then the third part is really falling into kind of a longer term love affair with living in the United States and, you know, coming to peace with the joys and the challenges that come with being an immigrant.
And Noam, your direction was so fantastic in the digital hybrid form for NAMPed. And we're so thrilled that the show has been featured in Prospect Theater Company's Ignite concert series. So if you guys could tell us a little bit more about the development, we'd love that.
Sure. Noam, why don't you take it?
Sure. So with the support of Access Theater and the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, we were able to expand Paulo's original collection of 8 songs into 20 songs. And we worked for about a year to develop the kind of overall structure of the piece. And now what's been so great over kind of digital platforms is the chance to go back and really finesse the song. So we took this opportunity with New York Theater Barn to change some of the lyrics in Yaya, and the next song that you'll see has gone through a full revision where we kind of weren't sure. We had 4 different versions of it, and finally during this process we were able to get to the version that you'll see tonight. And it's been amazing to see, as we've brought in performers like Belinda and Mark de la Cruz, how they bring their personal stories and their lived experiences to these songs.
And what are your aspirations for the show after this pandemic? You know, I think we don't see a lot of shows about Asian immigrants in this way, and we need to see this story, and I hope we see it in a bigger medium.
I hope so too. Our hope after the pandemic, we would love to, I mean, we've been very lucky to have had the opportunities we had. You mentioned the Prospect Theater Company Ignite concert series, which was like February 2020, just a month before things closed down. At the workshop production at Access Theater, and being in the NAMPed Festival last year was pretty mind-blowing. It had been a long time dream. I didn't think it would happen. It was literally a dream come true. The responses we've gotten after NAMPed have been exciting. And our aspiration really is to bring the show, well, first of all, to cities with large Filipino populations. The West Coast, Joe, you mentioned Daly City. The West Coast, Chicago, Texas, Nevada, Hawaii, Toronto. But also there are, and one thing I've loved is that even theaters which are not necessarily like categorically Asian American theater companies or theaters which are not in cities that have large Filipino populations, they've also been excited about the stories. And my goal from the outset was to write Filipino stories in a way that would speak to a broader audience. And it's been very exciting. So if there are theaters that are interested in putting new communities, new stories, new characters on stage, I would love that as well.
But I think the key word here is, Noam, I just wanted to say the key word here is American. And I think Asian American stories are American stories. I just wanted to say.
And you set the bar high with NAMPS, Joe, and I say it to you all the time. When we saw that part where everyone leaned back, we were like, oh my God, and we were crying and called each other. To have that be the beginning of the NAMP festival, we were like, what else is there going to be now?
I felt so guilty putting videos on Instagram and not like watching intently, but I needed people to know.
Thank you. I remember that. I was watching your Instagram feed and I'm like, oh wow, Joe really likes this stuff.
So what is the second song we're going to see tonight?
So the second song is inspired by the presence of so many undocumented individuals who live in this country, who come either for political reasons or economic reasons and choose to stay here, and the conundrum that they find themselves in, especially as there's no clear pathway towards citizenship right now. And it's been amazing over the last 3 years to see how this song really has evolved as the conversation about immigration has changed from the last administration to now. So this song is about the interior life of someone who is just trying to get by, not sure if today will be his last day in the United States, or if he'll be lucky and have another day.
Yep.
And this is Mark Dela Cruz singing, who has been a part of most of your development, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to work with Mark for a really long time, and all of a sudden this guy ended up in Hamilton, and we were like, wow, we're never going to have a chance to see him. And he covers like every single track in the show. So if there's someone out one night, like Mark's going to be in the show. And the blessing of this pandemic, you mentioned, Vinny Rodriguez, we've been able to work with actors who have wanted to work on this project for so long and suddenly are able to do so. So things lined up perfectly, and it's been great to work with Mark, NAMPT, and now.
So here is Mark singing Maybe Today.
It's an hour till dawn at the back alley door in the February air. I head into the diner, turn on the lights and the heat. Then I'm aware of the eyes of a man outside the frosty window, staring straight at me. I look again, then I realize it's my reflection that I see. I inspect every freezer, examine the grill, repair a broken tile. I reach under the counter for yesterday's mail, and the first one in the pile has my name on the envelope. I hold my breath, they've tracked me to this door. What a relief as I tear it open. It's a brochure and nothing more. Each morning the same, since I should have departed, but chose to stay behind. Since then each morning all that's on my mind is maybe today, maybe today. It's 1:45 and I'm circling the floor, bringing dishes to the sink. As I'm bussing the tables in this bustling diner, I just can't help but think somehow everyone here has figured out the secret I've kept so carefully. I see them glance my way and whisper while on the overhead TV. Folks cry deportation, folks cry legislation, go back to where you're from. Might as well accept the day will come. Yes, it may be today. Maybe today. People come and people go, not me. What's the debt a man must owe to be free in the land of the free? I've worked so hard, I've always tried my best to get along with everyone. Never stolen, never lied. The one thing I did wrong was stay. And now I've spent decades wasting away. A lifetime of maybe today. It's 11:03. I lock all the doors. I carry out the trash. I put the dishes away and carefully open my little jar of cash. It's certainly less than I deserve, and there isn't much I can afford. But I count my tips and my blessings and thank the Lord. I thank Him for patience, for work to keep busy, for hope when change is slow. That change could come any minute. My life could change any minute. You never know. Yes, it may be today.
I have the chills.
Matthew Wolf said those lyrics are chilling, and I couldn't agree more.
Agree.
What I loved
as well from Robin.
What I loved about tonight's presentation was that we got to show you sort of the larger, more epic scope of the show in the beginning, but that we get to see more of an intimate approach at the show. So we can't wait to see what happens next for the show. And NAMT is so excited to continue to support you, Betsy said. How can we let people know more about the show who want to know more?
Our website, we have a website, is www.onthethideoftheworld.com. And the information is there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And we can't wait to hear from more of your show.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Of course.
Thank you so much for having us.
Hello. Thanks, Tom. Belinda.
That show has just been in our head since October, and I'm so glad we could finally have it on the show.
Totally. And Paulo's music is so melodic. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
It's head. Well, now for something a little different.
Absolutely.
Now it's on to our next show, The Village of Vail.
Yes, The Village of Vail has music and lyrics by John McGrew and a book and lyrics by Jonathan Carpinos and Joseph Varka. Carrying only a pair of magical glasses and a desire for vengeance, an ageless traveler returns to the village that once betrayed her. When she finally returns to Vail, she is caught up in the lives of the villagers who hold the key to her vengeance. An obsessed bookkeeper, a haunted widow, and the family of proud woodcutters that exiled her long ago. As her search for revenge upends the lives of everyone she encounters, she faces a choice that will change the village of Vail forever.
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 And now joining us from their homes are the writers of The Village of Vail, John McGrew, Jonathan Carpinos, and Joseph Barca. Wow, everybody's
Hey.
Yeah, it's the J party. Hey, Jays. Hey, Joe. Hey, Jen.
Wow.
Hey, John. Hey, Joe.
Hi.
And we've got a Jane backstage who
We
will
got a
hear from
Jane
soon.
the
That's
way.
right. And we have a Lisa. Lisa's gonna mess it all up. We love you, Lisa, but we'll call you
You wouldn't
Lisa.
have a show without her, so it's worth it.
So welcome everybody. John, you're a composer, singer, and multi-instrumentalist based in California, 3 hours in the past.
Sunlight.
Your other musicals include an adaptation of Cupid and Psyche with Jonathan Carpinos and Apollo runs Here Be Dragons. You've collaborated with dance-based projects Food for Thought, Jack Ferver, Zen and Dance Company, Fisher Price, Mattel, Nickelodeon, amongst others. Jonathan, you're a playwright based in New York, and your work includes Lost Letters, which recently premiered at Bloomington Playwrights Project. You're also the co-author of 2 musicals for young actors, Cupid and Psyche with John McGrew, and The Average Achievers, which received its New York premiere at Hunter College High School. Joseph, you are a filmmaker, actor, writer, and multi-hyphenate like John. You produced and performed in the feature film Lapsus, which was an official selection in narrative competition at South by Southwest 2020 and won the jury prize at the Bucheon International Fantastic Film Festival in South Korea. I saw the trailer of it today, which is really, really outstanding.
Oh,
the film was also recently nominated. We got to go on because it's worth it. The film was recently nominated for an Independent Spirit Award for Best First Screenplay and was acquired by Film Movement for theatrical release in 2021. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And if that wasn't enough, you're also an actor and made your Broadway debut in The Network starring Bryan Cranston.
I saw that standing room only. It was great.
Oh, amazing.
My little brother is a massive Bryan Cranston fan, so it was the best.
He's the best. He's such a good guy.
I'm jealous that you can say he's the best and know from experience. You actually have the experience to say he's the best. Because I can only imagine he's the best.
He's a really nice guy. He's a really good guy.
Quite a prolific director as well on that production. So Joe, John, and Jonathan, what was the impetus for your collaboration and why an epic, dark, fractured, driven fable?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was living in New York City, I was lucky enough to live next to the park, Prospect Park. And I spent a lot of hours kind of wandering through with no music in my headphones, just kind of like zoning out and looking up into the trees because I grew up, in the woods in Ohio, and I found a lot of peace there. And it dawned on me one day on a walk that I was missing the old fairy tale, like the darker fairy tales that really kind of catch you by surprise. And they show like this dark beauty that I think has been missing in modern day fairy tales. And I thought fondly back to sitting on my grandparents' couch and listening to Peter and the Wolf and reading these storybook records, like opening the record, sitting on the velvet couch and reading through as I was listening to Peter and the Wolf. And I thought, that experience I want to recreate. And so I started to ruminate on this idea of this village and I imagined creating a storybook record. And I went over to someone at the Invisible Dog in Brooklyn, Lucien, who runs the Invisible Dog. And I mentioned, I want to turn this space into this forest with like an installation art piece with music playing and everything, and then pair it with this storybook record. And so and he then in that conversation was like, okay, cool. In 9 months, you can have 2 weeks in my space. And I was not prepared for that. But I hopped on my bike and I said, okay, this is going to happen. This is happening now. So I immediately emailed Tara Giordano, who's a fantastic actress. I emailed Jonathan and Joe, and we started collaborating on this book. We started with this storybook. We didn't even start in the theater. We started with a storybook.
And Jonathan, Joe, how did you get involved past that point?
Yeah, so early on, we had some great, exciting conversations with John. And just to reiterate what he said, the show did not start only as a show. Like, we didn't say this is going to be a musical. It was going to be a whole bunch of things, and a theater piece was one of them. But my first real involvement creatively was trying to write like short story versions of the stories that John had started to conceive. And a lot of long hours late at night with a new baby, trying to sort of craft into a short story form these ideas that we spent a lot of time just talking too. God, like so many afternoons just shooting
world
movies,
building.
Yeah, I think just so much time went into kind of trying to imagine like the sights and smells and landscape and history of the place where all this was taking place, and that was a really, looking back on it, not just fun, but I think important part of the process. So yeah, Joe, you go.
Yeah, and then the space was coming up. The show was coming up, so the aim was to try to turn all of this work, all of this writing into a show of some sort, and then nested inside this immersive world that we created. Really, like just very DIY. I mean, fabric and lots of foil and
trying to show this picture is actually the night before we opened this first iteration of it, and that is Joe about to make a puppet out of foam, and this was like at 2:00 in the morning. I mean, we were running on fumes, and it was very DIY.
Yeah. And that was, I wouldn't change anything about that process. It was incredibly fun and super challenging. I mean, I'd adapted things before, but I'd never worked on a musical. And I think initially it was really a play with music. And as we continued to develop it, we realized, oh, wait, actually, maybe this is more a musical. And it just took a great deal of searching and development, which we luckily have had some incredible organizations and institutions support us over the years.
So that's a great seg. We're going to show a little of your development, and then we have some more guests to join us to talk about your development. So here is a little taste of the Village of Vail.
All to fall down, all to fall down. From the first to the last, do we live by the axe? Do we honor our forest, or die by its wrath? From the first to the last, do we honor our past? Do we walk with our fathers and follow their path? Yes, I hear the call, it is bright, it is loud, and I heed it well, make my ancestors proud. But they all fall down, yes, they all fall down. Born in thrall, they soon grow tall, and they all fall down.
So here to talk more about the development of the show, we have your amazing director, Lisa Roth, and we have your amazing producer, the amazing Jane Dubin. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hey. Thanks for joining us.
Hi to the J team.
So Lisa and Jane, how did you become involved with the show, and why the show?
Well, I was invited to come see a production at Lincoln Center by my colleague, Erin Craig, my fellow producer. And I walked into this world. Yay, Erin. It was raining outside. It was just like a miserable day. And I walked into this theater and I was seeing a matinee for students. So I was not excited totally. But as soon as the music started, I got completely lost in another world. And I'm not really sure what it was about the story, because it just like enveloped me. And not only me, but except for 3 young women behind me who were texting and chatting the whole time, the rest of the audience was just taken. They laughed when they were supposed to. They were quiet when they were supposed to. They cheered when they were supposed to. And when I left there, I called Erin and I said, I gotta meet these guys. I want to know what's behind this, what motivated them, what's the story. And we got together, and I was so impressed by how much they listened, how much story there was. I mean, they really had worked on the story, and how much they wanted to make the story better. And I thought, well, as a producer and a creative producer at that, it's like, oh, I've hit the mother load. I have 3 young, like the 3 dads, the 3 young dads, you know, the dads who who worked over Google Docs, in the middle of the night. And we went up to Bethany Arts Community in Westchester, which is a residency. Applications are now open, by the way. And we spent about 4 or 5 days up there and really gelled, and that sort of took off. And then Joe said, I'd really like to bring in a director. Joe had been directing to this point, and really love having the woman's perspective on the show. And it took me all of 3 seconds to say, I know just the person. And that was my dear friend, Lisa Rothi. So for some reason, she wanted to get involved. What was your motivation?
Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Well, first of all, I wanted to get involved because you were involved. So let's start there. And then meeting John, Jonathan, and Joe was really wonderful. But you had sent me some music initially. You just said, hey, there's this musical. I really love it. What are your thoughts on it? And I listened to it, and I was so struck by the world. And I was so struck by the music and the world that had been created. And I was like, okay, great. I'd love to meet them. And I think the thing that really struck me about it was I was so struck to this, drawn to this story of a young woman who has lost her whole family in a pretty tragic way. And she's experiencing some trauma. And on her healing journey, she ends up meeting a group of young people who initially become her chosen adopted family. And she explores her healing journey by connecting with her history, but also specifically with nature, and then specifically in her also communication with trees and with nature. And I was really interested in the healing journey through nature and through this communication with trees. And so I was very struck by that. And so we hung out and started spending time together. And then also last year, before all this hit, I was the director of new works at Kansas City Repertory Theater, and talked to Jane about the possibility of bringing this there to just get it on its feet and just to hear it and just see what was there. And so it was really extraordinary, and it was beautiful. It's really just been great working with them. And I have to say that then I remember we sat at your dining room table, and they went on and they have like
4 hours.
200 characters with backstory. It's like a Tolkien story. I mean, it's a kind of extraordinary. I mean, if this musical could go on for years. So
we found a lot of joy in building the world, and sometimes we just decided, hey, no one's ever going to know this, but let's figure out the entirety of this universe. So
and then right after Kansas City, we went to Goodspeed for their writers residency, and and then the world stopped, and rather than wait till the world reopened, what we've been doing in the meantime is adapting the play for radio. And it's not as easy as it sounds, because it was really rewriting, but also this 85-page backstory came into the play, and there's all these, it could run for years because there's so much story. And that's been really fun, and also helped to deepen the story. And I think the surface story is one thing, but like most fables, there's so many layers, and the more you get into it, the more there is to get into. So that's what's so exciting for me.
Well, let's see how special and sexy this dark, amazing fable is. Tell us a little bit about your first song, No Matter What.
The first song is called No Matter What. It takes place in the second story of the show. Carolyn and Abel are both apprentices, and they're both competing for the same role, which is to become the keeper of the book, which is this elder of the village, a steward of all of the secrets in the entire history of the village. And they essentially grew up together and have always had feelings for each other, but have never admitted those to themselves or to each other. And on the night before one of them is to be chosen as keeper, Abel invites Carolyn to meet him in a perch that he's built so that he can be closer to the stars, because that's what he loves to study. And he's built essentially a telescope, and he desperately wants her to come because this might be the last night that they will ever be together again. And the song happens right after Carolyn looks in the scope for the first time and sees the moon up close. And we begin to sense that something is maybe happening now between them.
And you said Elder.
And Lauren Elder.
Not to be confused with Lauren Elder.
That's right. Yeah. Lauren Elder plays Carolyn, and she's been a joy to be able to sing with. Absolute joy. Thank you, Lauren.
She is a joy. So here is our company friend, Lauren Elder, and John singing No Matter What.
How can I describe it? There's just too much.
Too many stars to know, far more than could be counted.
I'm searching for the words.
I'm searching for the answers. Will I wander all alone?
Fire's lit on an ocean.
Or diamonds burn bright to light our way.
The path
We choose to follow. Do we need to go alone? Can we try to walk together?
Are we bound to wander silently? Is there another way to go? Oh, this time tomorrow.
How will it be?
What will we know?
For you and me. Can't stop the day.
A new life.
Is there a way
we be honest
with dawn upon us? What will we be?
What will you be to me?
How can I describe it? There's just too much.
I'm afraid for you to see.
A feeling deep inside of me. I'm searching for the words. I'm searching for an answer. Do we have to be alone?
In circles.
Stay here with me. Up here with me. Can't stop the day. From your eyes, don't look away. Feeling deep inside of me. It's always been there. Now I see the path I take, the choice I made, our love to keep. No matter what will be the path I take, the choice I make. I love no matter what will be, no matter what will be.
Wow. Paulo said that was transcendent. I can't agree more.
Everyone's
When
saying
you-
goosebumps on this chat. Wow.
When you
I
guys were
love
singing-
this chat. This chat is so fun. Y'all are fun. I love community. This COVID thing has been tough, but like these chats, I just love it. Community. It's community. It's great.
Totally.
Yeah. Sorry, Jen. I cut you off, or Joe.
When you guys were singing the choice I make or choice I made, I thought you were going to modulate off the page.
I tell you, it was a tricky song. That it took a minute for me to figure out how to really drive that one up into the next key. So
Awesome. Well, I guess we should hear from.
Train of thought.
I was going to say, since we're on a roll here, let's check out the second song.
Yeah, so the second song you'll hear is called Endlessly Spiraling. It comes from the third part of the show, kind of right in the middle of the show. This part is called The Island by the Falls. The story of The Island by the Falls follows the village's healer, whose name is Larissa. And at the beginning, we see her as a girl, and then as a young woman, and as an adult. And at this point in her life, she gets married. Her husband gets sick with an illness that she doesn't understand and can't cure. And he passes away, leaving her with their infant son. And in this moment, she's just really immersed in her grief. You may hear some background. You'll see Lauren Elder again.
Let's hear infant son giving the side effects of an infant.
Yeah, if I may, John, I think maybe it's important also just to say that. So this is the moment when he passes away, and one of the ideas of The Island by the Falls is that when you light a tree on fire on this island, the tree burns down and the dead come back to life. And so she's being called to this island by these trees, and so you're going to now see Lauren playing Carolyn. Larissa now. So a different character. And so she'll be singing Mourning her husband. And then when I come in, we both use the villagers as people who sing, but also the trees in their ethereal goodness will be calling to her. And so there's going to be an element within the production of these other voices that a little bit of the siren call, right? They call to her in a very fairy tale eerie way. So
here is John and Lauren again singing Endlessly Spiraling.
Endlessly spiraling, spinning right here in my place, erasing each other. Day after day, what is forgotten? The moment that we end. Is it lost or just waiting to be followed instead? Autumn
Wow, so beautiful. Listen, I wanted to talk about something a little off topic for a second. We're also developing a musical called Mimosa with the themes that you were bringing up about the power of plants in our environment. And that musical, similar to the themes that you brought up, are, the show suggests that plants are conscious, that they give us energy, that they communicate with us. And indigenous peoples and cultures have known this for thousands of years. And it's an incredible concept. And I love that you've infused it into this musical. In fact, I'm reading 2 books right now about this very, very thing.
Wow.
Yes, Joe. Yes.
I love that.
Eco fairy tales, eco musicals. I mean, honestly, there is like that's a new genre, right? We're gonna make it up. We're doing an eco musical. The more it's funny because when we started this and we started talking about this connection to the earth and the way that the villagers engage with the plants, we had this image of them putting their knees and their hands down on the ground to communicate with the trees. And some people are in tune with it and some people aren't. We were on that kick like 5 years ago. I'm super excited about it. And then we start to hear all of this wonderful science about this network of fungi that connect forests underground, and the tree on one side of the forest is giving information to the tree on the other side of the forest. And you start to zoom out on everything. It like that one tree then doesn't become a tree. The organism is actually the forest. And then you start to think way more critically about everything that you are ending up using and reusing and not reusing. And you start to really see this earth as, you have that overview effect. You go, what? Well, why are we stopping at the forest? Zoom out even farther. We don't even end at the borders. We don't even end at the beaches. We go into the oceans. We go around the earth. And then it takes you way out into space. Then you look back down and you're like, oh, it's all one big thing, right? And so I'm super into that idea, and I think that we are really trying to lock into. By the end of the story, we really want to lock into this idea that we are all connected and how important it is for us to love each other and take care of each other, whether that be plants or, humans or animals.
Yeah. We are all connected, and I think there's a lot we can learn from nature. In fact, if we can save our existence and our environment if we see ourselves as parts of the natural world, and part of seeing ourselves as parts of the natural world is embracing the natural world.
You took the words out of my mouth. This time has been scary because we can't be together, and we need shows like this that bring us together and show us that we're all the same at the end of the day, and we're all trying to save the world.
I think that was one of the things that also really drew me to it. I mean, as I was talking about the trees, because, my wife is a professor of literature and also a novelist, and so she introduced me to the Overstory. So if you haven't read that, so that was really exciting. And also during this time, I've become a
Oh, we lost you, Lisa.
Yes.
Oh, we lost you.
Oh, no.
Well, speaking of Lisa,
she's back.
Oh, she's back?
Oh, I thought she was back.
So speaking of Lisa, let's say then, it's Women's History Month right now, and you have both a director and a producer leading your team. Why, John, Jonathan, and Joe, do you think it's important to have women at the helm, and not even just celebrate them this month, celebrate them always?
It's a great question, and obviously it's super important to us. I mean, I think something that happens when you're making things is that you end up sort of building your own echo chamber, and you're only listening to a limited number of perspectives. And I think for us, it's always been about trying to do the opposite of that. So this process has always been collaborative, and we're making a world up. Out of nothing, and yet it reflects our own world in many ways. And I think to do that well, I think you have to bring in as many perspectives, multitudes of perspectives and experiences to help fill that out. And Jane and Lisa and Aaron have been amazing, just incredible collaborators, and their spirit and generosity and support have just lifted up this show, and their brilliant ideas have just given us so much in these last few years. I think we just feel lucky to hang out with them. And you know, I think we all believe that what we make and what we're making is important, but I think what's even more important is how we make it and who we make it with.
Couldn't say any better.
Well said. Well said. That's why I love these guys. And I think the thing is, the more you talk about the story, as I was saying before, the more layers there are, and you can just keep peeling them away, and then they keep putting more on, and it just learns something every time we talk. It's really exciting.
The deeper the roots, right? The deeper the roots.
The deeper the roots, right? The more you water it, the deeper the roots.
The more you water it, the deeper the roots.
I think I saw somewhere you need a gardener and you need a flower. People can't be both. You have to have both to make something happen.
Indeed.
Preach.
Totally. Well, thank you all, John, Jonathan, Joe, Jane, and Lisa. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can't wait to see more from the Village of Vail. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well, that is our show tonight. What a great group of 2 shows and people we love so much. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the new musical Anjou, the musical horror tale, and For Tonight.
Anjou is written by Guillermo Mendez M. and Guadalupe Sandoval with a new English translation by Javier Villalta. Period. For Tonight is written by Whitney Rhodes, Chanel Salcido, and Spencer Williams.
Absolutely. And For Tonight is a part of the New York Theater Barn family already from years back. So we're excited to welcome them back and celebrate all the new development they have going on. We also want to let you know that in 3 weeks on March 24th at 7 p.m., we have the next part of our A Seat at the Table series of roundtables. We have Women in Theater, and it's moderated by the wonderful Christine Toy Johnson, whose show was on our new work series back in November. And Jason Ma is here tonight. She co-wrote with Jason Ma. And we have El Morgan Lee, Melissa Irico, Eva Price, Anna Harada. So many wonderful, wonderful people part of this event. We'll have tickets on sale later this week, and we hope to have you join us for this special event.
That's right. We are excited about it and tonight's presentation, but it takes an incredible amount of work to make tonight's show happen. So in order to continue to lift up artists and original musicals, we really need your help. So please join our generous donors by making your gift today on our website at nytheaterbarn.org/give. As we said, you can also donate quickly by text at 631-710 NYTB. That's 631-710-6982. Those details also follow below in the video description.
Again, if you didn't get it, that link is nytheaterbarn.org/give or 631-710 NYTB, 631-710. The last 4 digits are 6982. Thank you, as always, for tuning in tonight, and thank you for supporting live theater.
That's right. And thanks for coming to see On the Side of the World and the Daddies of Vail. I mean, the Village of Vail. Excuse me.
We'll see you soon. Good night.
Having the support of New York Theater Barn's artistic community has been so nourishing and uplifting, especially now as our brick and mortar theaters remain on hiatus. And I've been so grateful to have a place to gather and share our work.
And I just want to say that New York Theater Barn is very special. It has several different programs that help development of musicals.
They're looking out for theater. They're looking out for new shows. They're looking out for new artists and new creators. That's what we need.
That without places like New York Theater Barn, people like me don't really have the opportunity to workshop our work and don't have an opportunity to make it better.
So it's very important that we are all supporting organizations doing the work that New York Theater Barn is doing right now.
So I hope you are very generous with giving to Theater Barn, and they've been so generous to generations now of writers.
I hope you will give to them this holiday season, and I hope you have a great holiday.